And we've mentioned already some, but I would like to know that from you again, also for the audience, especially for the younger generation. What are the main challenges we have if communicating across cultures?
Mm-hmm.
We are working with global people in a global world. My neighbor may be from another country, at work. So I think if you could help us, what are the main challenges when we communicate across cultures?
One, don't make assumptions. Don't make lazy assumptions that you know why someone is acting the way he or she is. And that goes for whether it's someone from another national culture or not. You just cannot make assumptions. You need to ask, and you need to be respectful and figure out what's going on. So that's one thing. That's, again, we go back to these cultural stereotypes that are still in existence that need to be overcome, especially because people of goodwill are trying to come together. So people from many countries see English as the global language, Western business culture as the dominant culture, so they try to fit in. Some American business people do try, as we said in the beginning, to avoid the grossest kinds of errors and that are unwittingly, or that you can learn how not to do.
Yes.
But in terms of actually relating to other people, going in with the assumption that everyone has the same goodwill, that everybody wants to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and that if there are differences in getting there, you're going to take the time to figure out what they are and to resolve them, as opposed to just pushing ahead. That's one thing. Don't make assumptions. And the other is the subset is to be patient.
That's one thing.
And that's a hard one. It's a hard one for people, I dare say, like us, who are quick and efficient and like to see things done. And I've learned very valuable lessons over the years on how important dealing with other personality types is to actually getting the best result and the best kind of outcome that you're looking for. Listening to someone who says, oh, whoa, slow down. Did you proofread this? Did you actually think about this? And I learned through hard experience, through all these various things that I've done, that the truth of what I'm saying, at least it's my own truth. That being careful, being respectful, being patient, these are all rules for living, not just communication, but communication is part of it. And I love what you said before about authenticity. I think that's extremely important. You can, and in fact, that's what part of the cross-cultural class that I did for Cornell is about, the eCornell class. Is that being authentic is staying true to who you are. Communicating can be changed. You can soften the rough edges of what your natural tendency wants you to do. So instead of speaking at a very high volume when you're used to, is speaking a little more quietly, is instead of jumping in and finishing somebody's sentences, which to you is a sign of interest and validation, to somebody else is very insulting. You're cutting off what they have to say. So don't do that, So those are communication things that can be modified without changing who you are.
We just have to be aware of our tendencies. And
exactly.
Not easy.
Exactly.
It's a skill.
But it can be.
Yeah. Patience, awareness, respect.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, and really listen, not just the hearing.
Right. Actually listen. That's what I said about communication being a through line through all these other professions, like being a journalist. When I'd interview people, especially people in politics, what are they not saying, right? What is the subtext? What is the subtext message that's not being said? When I was a politician and people would talk to me, it was a matter of controlling the message, of not just going off and blabbering, but being concise, because you need to get across what you want to get across. And all of that experience actually was formative in my attitudes about cross-cultural communication.
And probably because of your traveling at early age and living abroad, you had already those alarm signals to be aware and then wait and see, which is the reason why it's important, if you have the chance and the possibility to travel, then one should do, especially the younger ones.
You know, you've mentioned the younger generation many times, and I think I'm so looking forward, if I'm still around, to a much better future with the younger generation now, at least from what I can see. They are growing up without a lot of the damaging attitudes that my generation had, and even the generation after. They're growing up with an expectation of equality and equity that I find very thrilling.
Yes.
So I have a lot of hope for that.
And also very, very aware of the environment. All these issues. This younger generation is much more into that and aware of it. Well, let's not give up the hope. Is there another example we can use to showcase or any relevant things happening to really showcase how difficult it is to communicate across cultures? Because sometimes we've mentioned now maybe cultures, different cultures than one is used to, but sometimes we speak the same language and yet it can be difficult to understand each other.
And you know, speaking the same language. So one good example I know we've talked offline about was the recent Oprah interview of Meghan and Harry.
Exactly.
So speaking the same language gets rid of all the issues of understanding or misunderstanding the words. But that was a cross-cultural communication exercise that was received very differently by different types of people, right?
Yes.
So Meghan Markle was so American, was so frank and open in a way that shocked English viewers.
Exactly. Yeah. What a great example. And I hope that's why I'm trying to get relevant examples or current examples that people understand exactly what you mean. It can even happen in the apparent same language.
Exactly.
But so another culture.
Right. And Oprah is I mean, she's a remarkable woman and a very interesting interviewer, and her technique is to embody the vox populi, right? Yeah. So when she knows a lot more than she lets on. Exactly. And so when Meghan says something, she says, what? You know, the shock of the nation, you know? So it's a marvelous technique because people felt their jaws drop or whatever. But Harry is in an interesting position there as being the representative Brit who comes from his own culture, which is pretty unusual. Not everybody is a prince.
Exactly.
And there are expectations for the royal family or for the firm that are even more different from the British population.
I love it. That's so fascinating, isn't it? It's so fascinating. Speaking the same language, they were all speaking English, but these differences and how these differences lead to misunderstanding.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great example. I hope it was clear now for those who may not, get it.
Yes, that cross-cultural communication is not a matter of language. It's a matter of attitude, receptivity, and cultural backgrounds.
And
that is what cross-cultural communication is, not just the language.
Example. Thank you so much for